All right, everybody, it's time. We're
Hey
returning.
guys.
Hello and welcome back to Between a Pot and a Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton.
And I'm Chris Kirkpatrick, though a little less dramatic. I feel like I need a
Yeah,
mask.
I mean,
Yeah,
right?
I'm underdressed. I'm
It's
underdressed.
really. I'm probably a little over. Well, I'm underdressed too. I don't have the full armor. I need the whole suit to look. I don't know, but
I
yeah,
am
I'm
so
excited for
disappointed.
tonight.
I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, my brain is showing. Like,
Right. Right.
yeah, let's go ahead and take this off here. I didn't think I could go like a whole hour wearing this thing, but it's really cool, and I wanted to kind of throw it on, considering who we're talking to tonight. Let me just set this
I
down next to
am
me
really
here.
excited. This is the episode we were really looking forward to doing. We wanted to do a Power Rangers themed episode,
Yeah,
especially considering, the loss of Jason David Frank, and it's great that you were able to line this interview up with Mark Richardson.
yeah. Um, so for those of you who don't know, Mark was the prop master for Power Rangers for I believe about 10 years, and here we go again, prop master. And I have our little Between a Pot and a Hard Place power coin because we're morphing into action here tonight.
That is awesome.
How
That is
cheesy.
awesome.
But yeah, we're going to go ahead and bring him on now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mark Richardson to the show. How's it going?
Howdy. Howdy.
Hey, welcome.
All right. So yeah, I had to throw that Zed head on for a minute at least.
Yeah, I got to wear the whole costume for Turbo.
No
They,
way.
Yeah,
Wow.
there was a scene where Rita's calling Diva Talks, the two of our villains at the time, and they're talking, and she's in bed with me, so I'm sleeping with Rita, and I'm snoring, and all I had to do is rock back and forth. That was my scene, and uh, the guy that played was in the suit was a stunt guy called Ed Neal, who's a brilliant stunt guy. Great. I mean, this guy just flips through the flames, explosions, and he wasn't available, so they just kind of threw me in. Of course, when they asked, I was like, hell yeah, I want to be Lord Zed.
Yeah.
And when I got in it, it was like being wrapped in a carpet that smelled like Ed.
Oh
And
no.
I was extremely claustrophobic. I didn't know I was claustrophobic until then. And all I wanted to do was get out. I mean, I wanted to get out of this thing. But these stunt guys, they fight, in these suits, and here I can't even just rock back and forth. So I had to keep my my Keiko shut while I rock back and forth, and I didn't really complain. But the only thing that kind of sucks is it's uncredited. I always go, oh man, I would have loved to have that credit in the film. But I just got the prop master credit. But whatever.
That's really
Still,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Did they ever let you do any other roles other than that, or?
You know, I came from low budget background, Trauma. I did Nukem High 2 and 3, a bunch of Trauma stuff where, we would build the sets, play the characters, we'd do it all. Power Rangers was a lot like that. There's a lot of crew members that would be thrown on set a lot. I mean, back then, there was a scene where Amy Jo's last episode where she gets in a cab and the cab turns into a monster. I got to be the cab driver, and, I had dialogue and stuff. But I got to be
Nice.
Serpicon and Time Force. He was one of the monsters, which was cool. And it came from Angel Grove. I talked him into doing it in black and white. I was like, cause I'm a big horror guy, and I got away with a lot of stuff. But they go, hey, you want to be in it? So at the very beginning, he's watching like a late night horror show, and so I come out and I'm a werewolf screaming. Yeah, you would get little parts like that all the way through Power Rangers, and it wasn't just me; it was a lot of people from the show had parts in the film.
That's cool. That's cool. I think we think of prop master, and we definitely think of somebody who is behind the scenes. And so I don't know exactly what a prop master does. How were you involved in that regard with the show?
Well, on that show, like the lower budget stuff, I was responsible for the props. I mean, all the props, and I work on big. I mean, I work on The Old Man. That's the show. I'm going to start working on a J.J. Abrams show called Duster.
Oh wow, cool.
In the next month. And we have props, and I'm not the master. I'm the on set. Scott Buckwell's the master on that. But you have directors, you have showrunners, you have producers. Everybody has to go through the props, and it takes forever to get, even if it's as something simple as a pair of sunglasses or something like that. Everybody has to look at it and give their approval. On Power Rangers, we didn't have that luxury. We had to have that stuff ready sometimes that day because things would change constantly.
Wow.
So, I would be in the and I had to make it. I had to fabricate it. I had to come up with this stuff. And I was never hired as a fabricator. I still have no idea why. I mean, I was working for PM Entertainment doing weapons, and they called me, and I thought maybe when I saw the laser blasters that were going to modify 9mm, I didn't know what the show was about. But they wanted me specifically. Yudaku called me and says, "Listen, show up here and you got the job, or don't show up and we'll get somebody else." So I showed up, and I was blown away by how great the show. I was a big horror fan, big Godzilla fan, so I was like, "This show's going to be great." But I'll be in my prop room, and the producer will go, "Mark, we need something that saves the world. We need it before lunch." And I have to come out, throw stuff together. But in all honesty, that's the reason why when you look at some of my stuff, a slinky and a flashlight and a GI Joe tank glued together, painted Billy blue, will save the world.
Right.
It's now everybody's in their 30s looking back at the show, going, "Wait, there's duct tape on Lord Zed's staff." We didn't have the budget to make stuff. We should have had 20 Lord Zed staffs.
Right.
Back then we only had one. When it broke, we duct taped it up.
It's amazing as a fan. We assume because of all the magic that goes into putting the show together that it's weird to think about how cobbled together it was a little bit, right? I'm a big Doctor Who fan. And kind of finding about how low budget it was, where they the alien has like a plunger and a whisk, and somehow that made them a character.
Well, back then it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. It's funny. Somebody had sent me this. It's there's an episode where Alpha, our robot, had to be woken up. And Alpha was supposed to be a male, and we only used female. We never had a guy, so he's the first transgender robot. But
That's great.
he's supposed to wake up, and so they wanted slipper. We had made some like bunny slippers, and right before he went out there, I made a little robot teddy bear, and it was just a teddy bear, and I took two plastic bowls, put them together and put ping pong balls, but and just threw it on and threw it out there. And it's just so weird that toy comes out and they have that little thing that I threw out there at the last second.
That's awesome.
That's great.
I actually have that toy. I didn't catch it new, but I got it secondhand at some local shop. But I loved that. I saw the little teddy bear. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And I remember that. I remember that moment. You only see it one time in the show too, so it's like to make a toy of that. That's amazing. Oh gosh!
But I had that.
I literally,
I had that privilege, that because they didn't have time to just knock stuff out, and right. and I had basically, I just, what the hell? I'll just glue this together and throw this on it and say that's what it is. And most of the time, it would be okay. Every once in a while, I had that meeting with the production or the producers where they'd go, "Mark, we have to talk to you about the bomb." And I go, "Wait, the bombs that can't look like bombs?" "Yes, the bombs that can't look like bombs. They don't want you to look like bombs, but the bombs that can't look like bombs, they didn't look enough like
Bombs.
Yeah. So I had those kind of conversations. Okay, but I was putting timers on like plastic lobsters and whatever, and I go, it's a bomb, a couple of wires, blinking red lights, bomb.
So
I don't
did you
know why,
enjoy?
but
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
sorry, I was just going to say, I don't know why, but I'm reminded of an episode of Family Matters where Steve Urkel made all these inventions, and he had a piece of the Zeonizer from the Zeo season on his wrist. And I know that's
really
unrelated. Yeah, it was the bottom part that flipped, the little door flips up. He had that as like part of his device, and I just thought that was pretty funny.
Because I did that. I left the show when Disney bought it and made it non-union again. That was during Wild Force. But like, I'd be working on shows like Scorpion. I don't know if you remember that show. And all the guys there were huge Power Ranger fans. And when they found out I was the prop master, they would flip out. So you have all these actors going, "Oh my God, I'm such a big fan of Power Rangers." It just cracks me up.
It's awesome. I need to go back and watch the Cab episode because I was watching the actual original Sentai from Japan, and I saw that. I'm just like, man, these are so different. Yeah, it's cool. I guess that kind of leads me to ask, like, did you guys get to use any of the props? I know originally you didn't have any of the Japanese things, but at any point was there like, oh, here's this to use from this version?
Every once in a while we would, but when we first started the show, we had no props, and we had to fabricate all that stuff. Luckily, I don't know if, the morpher and the blasters that we used were the toys from Japan. When Bandai made them for America, they changed the color on it, but we kept using the blaster from the Japanese stores.
So they were the actual toys.
Yeah, the actual toys.
Wow.
The morphers, people always think, oh, you made a mold. The morphers, this is one I had to modify for Jason Frank, but the morphers were the actual toys. And what I loved about that is that the kids, when the kids would buy a Batman toy, the Batman belt, it'd be some, piece of plastic with crap on it with a sticker that says Batman, Here you could actually buy the morphers that they used. A couple weird things that we did when they did the pilot. The Japanese morphers are this way. I think they didn't realize that because it was in Japanese, and the American morphers are this way. And it says, the toy says Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and we had stickers that said just Power Rangers. So yeah. Little show and tell for you.
Yeah, no, I love that.
That's
I
awesome.
didn't realize though that you guys had used the real toys on the show. I usually feel like toys are like a reproduction of what you see on TV.
Well, the show had been going on for like 35 years before we even started, and so I don't know who made the choice. Is that we didn't have it. We didn't have the toys. The Dragon Dagger. The reason why the American Dragon Dagger, I have that because we had to make it. We, when I know I wrote this on Horror Icona. When I first met JDF, I gave him a blaster. I didn't know anything about a dragon. Nobody told me about it. So our first photo session with him, he's wearing a blaster. We just didn't know. And, it was extremely low budget. And we were just throwing things together half the time and everybody was trying to figure out what the show was about. It was lightning in the bottle. I knew it was going to be a hit. But, I found a couple months ago in my store, I have a storage unit that I still have no idea what's in it. And I find things every once in a while. Like, I found this Zeo belt,
Wow.
see where you at, and it's literally just in a box, Granted, all my props are gold now, and I find a prop, and everybody wants to buy it off me for $10 so they can sell it for $1,000. But I'm a big fan, and then a week later you see it on eBay.
Right.
I have a storage unit. I keep finding things, and I recently, and I got crap from this from people who don't know who I am. I had posted a picture of a Yellow Ranger dagger that during that time we had to make, but I thought it was the one that when we first got it, but and I had posted it. I found the Yellow Ranger dagger. Here it is. And I was going to make it had a mold, and it came with the mold, and I did pulls and everything else. But I had so much crap from people. I started looking into it, and it is a different dagger, but it's exactly like the one we use. So I don't know what the story is. I got to do research and find out because I don't remember. People got to remember that was 30
Right.
years ago. I don't even know where my car keys are right now. People are going, well, you should have known that. You worked on, you built it. Yeah, I built it. Back in the day.
So Mark, I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
did you realize how we'd still be sitting here talking about Power Rangers now when you were doing it 30 years ago?
I knew it was going to be a hit. Nobody else and I tell this to everybody, nobody, not the actors. I mean, I turned to the actors and said, I don't think you guys understand. Next Halloween, everyone's going to be one of you. You guys this show is going to be a huge hit. Nobody thought it was going to be. I was taking scripts, and they were signing them for $5. I got their signature. I'll give you $5 for it. I was getting stacks of scripts with their signatures on it. Those scripts go for like $3,000 now.
Wow.
And I and every once in a while Saban corporate would find out that I was out there selling scripts and stuff that it already aired, but I was and then they're like Haim Saban was calling the producer going, you have to fire this guy Mark Richardson, he's making money off me, and they never fired me, which is amazing because I did so much on that show that I should have got fired for, but that's part of Power Ranger history.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's
so
just
many
amazing. Yeah.
But I knew the show was going to be a hit. I didn't know, I didn't think we'd still be talking about it. But hell, they're still talking about Nukem High 2 and 3 and all these other really low budget crap Vice Academy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still have fans that go, oh, wait, you wrote the music and you were one of the actors in Vice Academy. Yeah, but huge fan base, it's just a weird how, there's fans for everything, but the Power Ranger fans are massive.
Oh yeah.
JDF.
Oh yeah.
Just people are just weeping to this day over this horrible, tragic thing because it's massive. You go to these conventions and there are just thousands of people, and it's every walk of life. And it's so weird to see yarmulkes with and just people from every religion and stuff, but still they're Power Rangers, and I've always dug that. I always thought that was wonderful.
So, Mark, what do you think? What do you think it is about the show that has made it such an impact that's given it kind of this lasting influence?
I don't know. It was pretty cut and dry. It was pretty, good against evil with Marshall. I don't know. When I was a kid, it was Billy Jack. We were all into Billy Jack and Bruce Lee, but nothing like it is with Power Rangers. I can't put my finger on it. Because the Japanese show had gone for ages before Haim took it and made it an American show, and it was the American, and I mean just generic, storylines, and you had like the Vulcan Skull, bad kids, but maybe, just maybe, is because the actors were so earnest and sweet and nice and pulled off each and every character. Austin, Walter Jones, David Yost, Amy Jo Johnson, they honestly were good people, sweet people. And the reason why everybody wants their autographs to this day, they were magical. And Vulcan Skull were brilliant. They should have had their own series. You had this cast that came out of nowhere, and they were just fantastic. And I'll tell you, I remember the day I saw JDF. I thought he was one of the friends of of the actors. He just blended in, and it just become even more fantastic. It was just fantastic. It was a fantastic show, and it's the reason why it has the life that it has. People, and it's what people talk about to this day is these original Rangers. That's the one that made that. It came on so strong. It was so big that it just put its imprint in the world. And I was just lucky to be part of that. It's just an amazing thing that happened in film industry. It's going to go down in history as one of the most successful TV shows ever, and it's still going strong.
Yeah, I think it's crazy too because the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I think, was one of the only, if not the only, series to go 3 seasons. And the rest kind of went 1 or 2 seasons. And I'm frozen for some reason, but
it would still probably be going if Walter and Chui and Austin didn't want to quit because they weren't, and they should have been. Heim should have threw money at him, but he was like, no, you know. And once that happened, I think Heim jumped on the Japanese bandwagon, and we started going into like Turbo and Zeo, and we started following the Japanese, who basically every season, new cast, new toys. Which is brilliant when you think, I have all these toys, but these are outdated already. I want these Turbo toys now. I want, which is Japanese being brilliant and Haim Saban catching it,
I think Steven just stepped out for a second. He'll be right back.
He morphed. He morphed out. I saw him. Zordon called him.
I know. As growing up and watching the show and being a fan of it, I mean, I think that part of me secretly wanted to be a ninja, right? I wanted to be able to fight like them, and I think that was what part of the appeal of the show was just, you're right, the characters, the actors themselves, they were just so relatable.
They were average kids that took care of bullies, and whenever, these fans, I talked to them, they said they were basically latchkey kids or whatever, and they were stuck at home, and they started taking karate lessons and stuff. It gave them an incentive to stick up for themselves, just like the Power Rangers did, and it's funny. I remember taking my kid to school and seeing, you could tell which kid was into which Power Ranger, because the one kid was wearing all red, the other kid was wearing all black, the other one was blue, the girl was wearing all pink, though, there would be another one in yellow, and you knew they were Power Ranger fans.
Yeah.
I had all the Power Ranger pencil boxes, and that Power Rangers everywhere. I think at one point I had like a Power Ranger shampoo that had like a Red Ranger on the bottle top or something like that. I mean, it was.
I know they had an Alpha shampoo too. They had a little Alpha shampoo.
Yeah. And that's what some of my first memories of watching Power Rangers. I would actually rent the Green Ranger miniseries cassettes from the video stores because they'd put out those 5 episodes on cassette on VHS, and I would watch those. And then I started watching the show. I guess it's all kind of a blur, and just like looking back at it, it all happened in one day, like all 3 years, and then moving forward.
It just blew up in front of us, and we. And we shot when we moved to Santa Clarita. We'd shoot out around the houses and stuff like that. A lot of it was at I think it was a Lake Hughes. We shot a lot of second unit there, but people started realizing what MMPR signs are, film signs were, and so they'd grab their kids and take them so they could watch them film Power Rangers. And I was such a tool. I'd walk around, where I'd see a bunch of kids like wanting to look, and I'd get on the walkie and be looking up in the air, going, "Hey, we need the Zord. This is the best place for the Zords to land. They'll probably land over there. We have to get rid of these kids, but they got to back up, and we'll bring the Zord." And these kids were like, "Oh my god!" And then I'd go, would break for lunch. I'd come back from lunch, and the other kids are still looking for the Zords to land. It was a blast.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of blew my mind when I was old enough to discover like how the Zord battles were actually done, and because I'd seen this old Japanese video floating around YouTube somewhere of like a guy in a Megazord costume without the helmet on. I'm like, what? And they had this like scale model built on like the trees up to their knees. I'm like, wait, this looks so different. Of course, I knew there weren't like 60-foot robots, but still.
Oh my god. That's the reason why Heim made so much money, is we used that footage. I think when we first started, we only used like maybe 15 minutes of American footage. It was all Japanese footage. That's the reason why as soon as those helmets go on, it's Japanese footage.
Boom.
I'd wondered how much of it was American footage and how much of it was Japanese.
It was definitely mostly Japanese. Whenever most of it, but I don't know. They started getting really into it. I mean, a lot of the big fight scenes were Japanese, but we started doing a lot of explosions and stuff like that. So it got to the point where it was a lot more American footage.
So primarily,
think-
whenever
yeah.
whenever was the actors with the helmets off, that was here,
Obviously.
and yeah, it's, right. But
Yeah.
once the helmets went on, that was the Japanese.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because I mean, every once in a while they do it, but it's all, like Tweed, God bless her, like the second week, broke her ankle, broke her ankle. I mean,
Oh.
I remember like the second week of shooting, we were at Bronson Cave, and they're supposed to run down this hill. She hit a bump and just rolled all the way down the hill. I mean, just got
Wow.
scratched,
Wow.
So, yeah, for some reason, she just had the worst luck on that show. When we were doing the Power Ranger, the first time they brought the Power Rangers to Universal Studios, which was insane. It stopped traffic. I mean, it was massive. They were we're gonna be at this little storyteller theater, and it was like the place was sold out in the first hour. And when they moved it to it's tore down now, but the huge Gibson theater and stuff, and everybody starts off like they introduce them and they do these martial arts, and she was not a martial artist, and she twisted her ankle again, and so she had to do the rest of performance stumbling around, but she did it. She never complained. She was so wonderful, just a wonderful person. I think, I don't know if you ever saw The Crow too, because she's gorgeous and brilliant in that, and she would have had a really huge career because she was fantastic.
Right. And I've seen that, and I completely didn't even realize she was in that until recently. I think I was watching a video about her career and everything, what she did after Power Rangers, and I was like, "Oh, that was her!" And now I have to go back and watch it again because it blew my mind.
She's
honestly.
great in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had not realized that she was in The Crow.
Two, not
Two.
the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, we mentioned JDF, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that because it shocked the world. I remember that's the first thing I saw when I woke up that morning. Literally, I looked at my phone, every day, saying, "What?" That literally the first thing, and it just shook me. Like, wow. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Honestly.
Yeah, I got it from extremely knowledgeable source when it happened, and I didn't believe. I posted on Horror Icon on my page, and I took it down. Because I was like, I posted because I thought this can't be right. This can't. Right. I took it down, and and people started texting me, going, have you heard this? And I was going, yeah, I don't know. But I knew because of the source that I heard it from, it was true, and it's just a heartbreaker. I mean, I've mentioned this a couple times since this happened, that I just don't understand depression. I don't understand it. I don't get it. When I remember on Power Rangers when Kurt Cobain died, I remember going, well, that's the world loved him. Why would he do that? And I remember I can't remember he was a PA, but he was pissed at me for saying something like that. And I was like, dude, and he goes, you have no idea what it's like. You have no idea how much he's been suffering. He's been suffering so much that none of these people want to commit suicide. They're just suffering. And that was the first time. And it kind of like, it's one of those things where you realize, I shouldn't have said that. That's not where he's right, And then when Robin Williams was another one, that when he died, I was like,
oh yeah,
this must be such a horrible thing, and I'm just ignorant to it and stuff. But JDF's family suffers from that stuff, so I should have saw it coming, but you don't. Because I've been working with him. Obviously, I was still making Dragon Daggers for him and Morphers and stuff, and every time I saw him, I'd go like to a convention. Like I never saw him like, hey, let's go out. We'd always meet at conventions, and just thousands of people, fans, just idolizing him. He just seems, and he always seems so very, very happy.
Yeah. What kind of person was he? I mean, I know that there's the side that we get as far as through the show as a character, but
he was a blast. I can't. I've worked on those shows where you got like, like Buffy the Crew Killer. I've worked on shows that
Right.
the actors or the actresses are just a pain in the ass. These are the guys that that have lunch with you, that hang out with you. We'd all go out and meet some places. They were just wonderful people. They were down to earth, extremely, extremely feeling fortunate for what their careers taken off like that. Jason,
Yeah, and yeah,
I mean,
he was the one guy that stuck around. Not stuck around, but he was the one guy associated with it for the entirety of the 30 years. Really,
he was just so popular, and every
Right.
time they brought him back, people would go ape shit because he's such a great guy,
Right.
and we would do things like wacky things together and stuff, and he would do, pranks. He would do some of the most outrageous pranks, just outrageous things, And you had Bulk and Skull doing this stuff too, But those three, and Jason was kind of like off to himself when he did it. When you have Bulk and Skull just causing calamities, Paul and Narvi, but he was definitely, he was just a great guy to be around, and every time he's around, it made things better. And it's never a dick and never a bad guy, never. I mean, people would come on set, like I'd bring my mom and dad. They came down. He was the first one over there hugging them, going, "Oh, I'm a big friend, friends with your son." He made everybody feel special, and little kids would just be blown away to meet their idols. And, I love that. I love that, meeting him and just watching these people it's the greatest day in their life when they met him, and I always cherished that. And it's I'll always, he definitely put a dent in my life, I'm bummed that he's gone. That's for sure.
and I wanted to also throw up the the suicide crisis lifeline. I know it used to be the suicide lifeline, and then they changed it. I guess now it's just 988. Much easier to remember. But yeah, if anybody out there is suffering from anything, or you need to talk to somebody, please reach out to the crisis line or a friend, anybody, because there's always somebody there to listen, always somebody there for you.
Yeah, well, Mark, a lot of what you said about who Jason David Frank really was. I've heard a lot of people that have said the same, where they had seen him at conventions and they had talked with him, and again, you just kind of hear over and over and over again about how gracious and how much they appreciated just being able, that he seemed like a real person.
He was. He was that guy. Don't get me wrong. Oh, I'm dead serious when I say, David Yost, Walter Jones, Amy Jo Johnson, Steve Gardinas. These are all, they're the same way. They're, Karen Ashley, they're the same way. They're just really down to earth, wonderful people. Love the fact that they were Rangers. Love their fans. It's just that, he, and Jason was about to explode. This whole, his new projects was just gonna, and it's coming out. People are gonna flip out when they see this guy because it's going to be spectacular. And like The Crow, after people, I would have loved to seen Brandon Lee make stuff. I would have loved to seen Jason Frank start doing budget movies. I would love to see him in those things because he was such a good actor, and he was so much. I don't know. He just illuminated, such a great vibe, and it's just a horrible situation.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Hate to bring it down, everybody, but I mean, I thought, it's worth mentioning. He made an impact on so many people that never even met him, and I'm one of those people. Like, I wish I could have met him, but I thought I might be able to get to this past Power Morphicon back this summer, and I didn't get to, which it is what it is. Some things are meant to happen, sometimes they're not. But we've always got the memories, and that's one thing we can all hold on.
He's going to be James Dean. You're going to see, you're going to see pictures of him on murals and things for the rest of our lives. We're going to see, people are you're going to be walking, you're going to be having a drink somewhere, and you're going to see some biker is going to have, the dragon dagger tattoo on his, it's, he made a huge impression on Americans, and I have fans from. I mean, he has fans from England, Australia, everywhere, even in Japan, where they're huge JDF fans and stuff. If anything, he has that. We have his legacy. He will, he's not going to fade. That he's way too much of an impression on these people, and I know I'm very, very happy that at least he has that. It's one thing that, I'm just happy that we have that. We have a lot of, we have Power Rangers to look back at and watch it. So just don't make fun of my props when you do it.
Oh no, I think they're great. I'm like looking at these, looking at the props on the Facebook page there, and I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I so wish I could get one of those morphers right now. I so wish I could get the cool, like all this stuff. I'm like, one day I'm gonna get all this stuff. It's awesome. It's totally cool. That's why I kind of like jump on stuff like this, like the Z head. I'm not going to pick it up. It's way on the floor. But the Z helmet, the replica helmet, this is all like, Hasbro stuff, but still it's.
Yeah, I think Hasbro's going to bring Power Rangers to another level. Yeah, I really do. Hopefully. Because once again, like Bandai, it's a toy commercial, where they could, push their toys. So you're going to see some great toys. And I love the fact that they're bringing, they made my communicator, I love seeing stuff that I created made into toys,
That is awesome.
But, it's funny. I remember seeing, I think his name was Connor. Yeah, Connor showing me drawings of Lord Zed. He goes, "What do you think of this?" I go, "Oh, this is creepy. I love this. I'm all into horror, And he goes, "This is going to be our next villain." I'm all like, "I ain't going to be the next villain." And I go, "He's a skinless man, his brain's whole, and you have metal holding the that ain't going to happen." And then I saw this. I was like, "Oh my God, they approved this. This is amazing. They approved." And I thought Lord Zed was it, And then he had that Giger like throne, and it was. I just love that whole look. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, talking about the communicators, I love the fact that Bandai released those, because I had it once and I foolishly sold it, not realizing, I'll get another one later, forgetting the fact that some of these things, once they are there, it's possibly your only chance to own these at a decent price until they start getting flipped around for $3,000 on eBay.
I keep waiting to find the hero one, the one that lit up and stuff. I had two of them. I know somebody got one of them, but I think I have the hero one somewhere in my storage. Wow. I'm always looking for it. So. I always have to throw out that the production designer for Power Rangers was Yuda Aku, because people never talk about him. I know I made this, I made that. I made it under him. Yuda and I went out shopping for those watches and stuff. He was there with me. It was his choices to make that stuff. I just put it together, But I do claim it just because I'm the one that made it.
Right.
But I just want to throw that out.
What was the process like creating the communicator? I've always been curious. I know what they look like finished, but I've always been curious of like, okay, what do they do to make this look like this, and what did they use for this? I always love to watch movies and TV.
We went down Melrose. We picked out, I think, 12 watches. Tried to figure out, and I love the fact that the original band had, these rubber inserts, and I go, we could paint these. We could paint. Each Ranger could have that, and we could throw that. So we got the color. Each Ranger could have that. I took the watch, the clockwork out of it, and I got a drain from a sink and painted it green and stuck it under there. Nice. It was Dick Tracy, Get Smart, it was all that. And, it looked, originally I put like I wish I would have never did this, a sport watch, so it had buttons on the side. We put two little red LEDs and an antenna. but that stuff fell off. Like we had a hero one, but the other ones, as soon as they moved, it came off, and so I just kind of like stopped putting it on it, and nobody had a problem with it. I know all the ones that when Bandai put it out, it's my original way I did it, but the ones that people bootleg and make, that's kind of like how I did them. I just took everything off them because they were going to fall off after one, they walk into the room, and also when they were out of costumes and they'd fight, they'd get hurt. And originally, I just kind of got some silver paper and with a Sharpie drew a little picture of a communicator. And if anyone, I know somebody's going to find this, they're going to still frame it, but they're just wearing paper around their wrist when they're fighting and stuff like that. But I did change it. I did like a rubber insert of it, so they had rubber communicators later on. I don't know how later on it was. I don't know if I did it like weeks later next season. I don't remember.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the fact that Bandai, they had that little yellow tab at the bottom, and it's I don't know, the overall look of that was amazing. But yeah, that was such
I
cool.
remember
I regret getting rid of that thing.
I remember Apple doing a commercial, and it was Dick Tracy, and then it was Get Smart with the shoe phone, and then they had the Green Ranger. And I was, oh man, I'm pop culture. I'm part of pop culture.
Yeah,
that's funny. Lucky me.
Right. That's awesome. And I've always dreamed of having a watch I could talk to people on because of the Power Rangers. Now it's here, and I'm like, can someone make me like an Apple or a Samsung watch that looks like a communicator? Can someone?
They have them. They have them.
Wow.
They made them. They've made Apple watches. They're square, but they have the communicator on it, and they have the bands around it. I've seen it. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, wow. I need that. I need that in my life.
It's funny because like I'll see some, fan walking around with a communicator, and I'll walk up to him, and I'll go, hey, I created that. I'm one of the workers. I made that. And they always kind of like walk on the other side of the street and look at me like, who, I got to just keep my mouth shut. Wow. It's funny on horror. I made Horror Icona for the purpose of, because I've been in punk bands all my life, and so for my own page, that when people come on, they'll know me, and as cheesy as it is, so I could sell things. And
right.
I opened it up for the public for like maybe a week. And these people didn't know me, and they're saying, "Oh, this is fake. You're fake. You're lying." and but I'll have a fan base, and the fans will, not a fan base, but people on my page. And I go, "Dude, he made that. He's the prop master." No, he's not. He's not. It's just so funny. Like, look, and so I had to make it private again, just because I didn't want. I had all these people dissing me. It was just really bizarre. Right, yeah. Everybody who knows me, of course I did it for 10 years. Yeah, you could just be saying that. Like, what? But doesn't matter.
That's crazy. Right. I mean, the idea that people that weren't involved in it are telling you that it's not real. That's just crazy.
It's amazing. It's amazing how many people are like, this isn't real, or I have this. And I've had people telling me, they would go, look at this, it's a hero prop. And I go, that's not one of mine. Yeah, it is. I paid 10 grand for this. You didn't have to pay 10 grand for that. But yeah, I get that all. I also see a bunch of my name. Oh, I should keep that guy's name. He sells a bunch of bootleg stuff and signs my name to it.
Wow.
What is that guy? He used to be in a band called the Hillbillies or something. Oh, I should keep his name and have it right there and go, this guy's a piece of crap.
Yeah. Don't do this. Don't buy from him. Oh gosh. Wow. So many, there's so many things we could ask. I don't even know. Just my mind is racing with different things. I guess is there one piece of work that you did for a prop that from Power Rangers specifically that you're just I love that. That's your favorite thing you ever did.
I need to watch Power Rangers again to see that, because everybody asks me. I always say the communicators because they're the most iconic and stuff. I always talk about, I think it was Space, where they had the Starship Trooper vests and helmets. I use Nerf guns, but I cut them in half. and used a water jug and glued a water jug to it for the barrel. And I put like
Wow.
rubber to it and stuff. But yeah, if you look at the gun, they look pretty badass. And but if you look closer, you can see the like gallon things and stuff like that. Stuff like that
awesome.
cracked me up.
Yeah.
I remember I got Church of Scientology all pissed off at me because I was at the Saga swap meet and I found this board with meters on it and it looked futuristic Art Deco, painted it Billy Blue, and I had David Yost standing there with it and stuff, and it was for the priests for Scientology. When they do the test on you, that's what they and only priests could own it. And I bought it for like $5 and stuff. And I go, he shouldn't have that. And I didn't know what it was. It just looked cool. I always have to watch out for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. This I don't even want to get into that. I could go to the whole rabbit hole of the Scientology kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that is pretty interesting. Looking back, I have to go back and watch the shows again to see all these things that you've mentioned. Something I thought of earlier, you mentioned David Yost, and I remember one of the earlier episodes, there was a Billy statue. I think his girlfriend or some girl that he liked built a statue of him. Didn't know if that was something you did or something someone else just brought in.
Wait, what was it?
Or if you remember that. There was an episode where it might have even been in, I don't know what season it was, but there was a girl, I guess, in the storyline where like she had a crush on Billy or something. And she built like a statue of him. It was like a golden statue of him.
Yeah, I didn't build that. There's a couple of things. I know we did putties. There was a machine that made them flat and stuff. But no, we had that car. I didn't carve that. But it was pretty impressive. I don't know what happened. Stuff like that. I was like, what happened to that stuff? David Yost.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was really well done. When I look at those photos of him now, he kind of has a Dahmer kind of feel to it back then. But it's kind of creepy. But I remember I was doing this one thing where we had a lab. And we had a spider monster, and I had a cobweb machine that was used. It had an air compressor and a hot glue would make cobwebs. And I thought, wow, this would be perfect for the spiders, because there's a scene where they wanted the spider spitting on Billy, and so he comes up and he looks up and the spider's supposed to spit his web on it. And so I got this hot glue gun with an air compressor, and I should have tried it out. I just remember shooting him with it. He's like, he's getting hot glue sprayed on him.
That'd be terrible. It'd be terrible.
Horrible. And that was my bad. But you know what? He was a trooper. We shot the scene. Oh my God, there was a lot of that stuff. I remember.
That's cool.
I remember that we had they wanted a giant spider. And we didn't have animal wranglers back then, so I go, I'll go get a tarantula at the pet store, and I got a rose tarantula, and I knew a little bit about it. Knew they weren't venomous unless I was, susceptible to it. And if they bit you, it's like a bee sting. I knew all this stuff, and they wanted it on a cobweb, which if you know tarantulas, they don't, it's two different spiders, but they wanted it,
right.
So I got it and I put it on the cobweb, and he's on this hot glue cobweb that it's not hot now, but it's just sticky, and the spider's getting really pissed off. And we shoot our scene, and they go, "Can you get it offset?" And I push it on my hand, and as soon as it went on my hand, it raised up and bit into my hand, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's got its fangs in me!" And he's like looking at me like, "What did you do to me?" And I had an air can that I was like spraying it to move it earlier, and so my assistant Banner ran and got the air can, and he comes and he sprayed it, and I go like, no, and as soon as he sprayed me, the spider just kind of went a little bit further into my. I'm like, It's like, give me a bucket of water, and I slowly dropped my hand, and it released it as soon as it felt the water, and we got rid of it. But yeah, the animals, like. All the animal stuff was very dangerous on the show because it was still non-union.
Yeah, my gosh.
It's unpredictable.
I remember when I think it was our AC, he had complained because the Bulk and Skull have a dart gun, and they're shooting. We have a target by a camera, and they're shooting the dart gun, and he went and complained about it to the producers that I didn't say fire in the hole over the dart gun. I go, this is a dart gun. I showed, and I shot the dart, and it kind of went, there was no, I was, I came on as a weapons expert. I knew that there's nothing dangerous about this, but he complained that he was treating it, and it wasn't even a gun. It was an airplane that shot darts, and I was pissed at him. And he was just paranoid of spiders. I mean, whenever we had a spider or a snake on set, he needed to be informed so he could leave the set because it got him he was so upset at it. And I was like pissed off at him. So that was a horrible story. And so I had the spider in a little cage thing, and I walked up where he was, and I have this dumb look on my face, like, and he goes, "Where's the spider?" And I go, "I don't know what was in there." He goes, "Where's the spider, Mark?" And I go, "I don't know." And I had put him on my back, and I turned around like, "I don't know, it was over here." And I slowly turned around, and I hear, "Yeah!" him go running off the set. Scared the living hell out of him. But
It's awesome.
that, like I say, many reasons why I should have been fired from that show. And that's one of them.
It does sound
That's
like he kind of
great.
deserved it a little bit.
He
too.
did.
Yeah.
A little, yeah.
So
We had a question here. It's Chris's brother Corey. Yeah, he says he watched a lot of Adam Savage Tested, and he shows a lot of prop related things on that show, and wanted to know if you ever thought about doing any sort of tutorial type videos or like kind of how to prop stuff.
No, because I'm not a fabricator. Like I say, it was lightning in the bottle for me. I created that stuff. It was cool that, I like I say, Nukem High 2 and 3, doing Nukem High films, I would make wacky things and stuff. And I miss doing that. Like I'll do some low budget, sci-fi film to make a mask or something. But these other guys, they're so much better than I am. There's no reason for me to do those because I'm not that good. I lucked out, made it, everything I made, a fabricator would have been done it a lot better. That's the reason, like, I'll be at Toys R Us, with, 2 Star Wars toys, putting them together. Like, what can I make from this? And as mothers pull their children away from me. But I mean, that's the reason why almost, none of my stuff was fabricated. It was stuff that existed that I threw together and made, to work. There's no reason for me to do that stuff. I wish I was, I wish I was. I mean, the molds that I have, the reason why I have so many, because I made so many of them, because I did so, like the coin molds, like 6 of the coins would be bad, 1 would be good. So I'd have like 20 molds. I'd be making them, and that's the reason why I still have a lot of that stuff, is because I made so much of them because I was not good. Most of these guys, they do 1 mold, it's solid, and they walk away.
I think it's kind of more impressive though sometimes when you have 2 things that exist and you make one thing that looks different and awesome than to just know what you want it to look like and have to. I know there's probably more effort and like more like of a process of creating something and sculpting it and all this stuff, but I love the fact that like putting things together to make something new.
Well, when I go to Morphicon and they come walking up and they have like, astronomist staff, "Oh, I hear you made this. Look at mine." I'm like, oh my God, it's so much better than what I did.
Right.
I have never seen anyone's prop that, didn't look far better than the stuff that I did. I'm always blown away. They got the idea, but they just made it so much better. When I was working on the show, every once in a while, I would get pictures. Kids would send me photos, and I'll bring it to set. And it would be like their dad's, cordless drill painted Billy Blue with a flashlight. And I love that. These kids are in there destroying their dad's Craftsman tools and making Power Ranger props. But I love that. We talk about Morphicon. I always throw this out there because Scott Zillner. I was at a place called Frankensons, and I was selling stuff. I have. It's biblical how much junk I own. And it's all, and people say, just throw it away. It's all great stuff. And finding, the Yellow Ranger mold and stuff. It's back there. I didn't know it's there. I forgot about it. So I can't throw this stuff away. But I was selling stuff there, and Scott Zillner was selling some stuff. And I go, "Hey, Scott, you know what you should do? I know the Ranger. I have their phone numbers. So I have all these like props and stuff that I ended up with. You should do a convention and it would be like a Power Ranger convention. And he goes, oh, okay, whatever. And I remember I was getting my first knee surgery, and he calls me up. He goes, hey, I'm doing Morphicon. And I'm all like, that's great. What's Morphicon? He goes, no, I'm doing that convention. Remember you said, let's do that convention. I don't remember, Scott. And yeah, and, you know, that's how that started. He took my advice, you know.
That's great.
And I know they only do it every 2 years. So I'm excited. Maybe 2024 comes around, I'll finally get to go to one. Been wanting to do it for probably the last 10, 15 years. Well, however long they've been doing it, I guess.
Yeah, I think we should do something for JDF for that one. It's going to be something for him.
Yeah. That would be amazing. So hopefully, I definitely want to check that one out.
Well, Mark, we want to thank you so much for your just willingness to join us here on the show. It really has been an honor for you to give us kind of the behind-the-scenes scoop of a show that that Stephen and I really have loved for decades. And so it means a lot for you to come and share about that, and then just tell us some stuff about JDF. That really does mean a lot to us.
I enjoy doing this stuff. Obviously, I enjoy it. I love pushing my stuff. Let me see, Horror Icona, folks. Can you see that? Horror. Oh, it says right there on my name too. Join Horror Icona. You guys, I mean, it's supposed to be a horror page, but lately it's been nothing but Power Ranger stuff. So,
it's been awesome.
It's been a pleasure doing it anytime. Anytime.
Yeah, well, to definitely talk more about, of course, Power Rangers, but I'm sure everybody wants to talk about Power Rangers. So eventually, we should talk about more things that you've been involved with and other stuff.
Yeah, I'm big horror. Done tons of horror films. I was Rob Zombie's Halloween, Devil's Reject,
wow,
Piranha 3D. That's what I do. I do horror films. I'm a big Mad Monster convention guy. I'm writing for the new Famous Monsters of Filmland. I really want to push that stuff. I'm excited about that. I'm very excited about Famous Monsters of Filmland, and that's like my new thing. But I've been in punk bands forever, but I don't even want to tell you guys my name because I don't want some kid 12 years old listening to my stuff and destroying them. But
right.
But anything you want to talk about, especially if it's horror movies, horror stories, or something like that. But I'll always talk Power Rangers because it was, the one of 10 years of my life that I just thoroughly enjoyed doing.
That's a long time, yeah. For anybody to do anything, honestly. I mean, especially working the same job and the same type of, I really want to go back and rewatch everything now. I've been rewatching the Dino Thunder series, and I know I'd ask you a few days ago if you had worked on that, but watching it mainly because of JDF. But I do now want to go back and rewatch from episode 1, day 1, all the way through again because it's been a while, and hearing stories is just.
I haven't watched any of the Japanese stuff or the new stuff. I just never, not 12, right. But I enjoy, when I look back, at the original days and stuff because, just because it was so wacky and, everybody was like so unprofessional and what we did was just so chaotic and it's just wonderful. It's like this train wreck of gorgeous mistakes. I love it.
I think I remember David Yost. Yeah. I think I remember David Yost telling a story one time that JDF brought him a sandwich with a fly in it. I think he had put a fly in he had taken a fly and put it in a sandwich and gave it to him. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. And he ate it.
Oh, my God.
I heard him tell a story on something, a YouTube or something like that a while back.
Yeah, he tormented David Yost. He did torment him, but it was all done, I think, with love, right. Just fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember, I don't know. Certain things I think I'll let go for right now. Next time, you guys, you want to do the darker version of Power Rangers?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little bit more adult related stuff.
We would love that.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Do a little proclaimer before we start that one.
Yeah. Warning: the following episode may feature viewer discretion advised.
Yes. Rated R.
Get that big parental advisory sticker that you see on albums and just throw it up there.
That's right.
That'd be amazing. All right. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming on. And I think that's going to be about it for us this week. Definitely want to have you back on again sometime soon, hopefully, and talk about all that cool Power Ranger stuff and talk about all the cool horror stuff, because I love horror movies. I really do. Just watched the last Halloween that just came out not too long ago. So, you know, Corey wants Power Rangers Halloween special. That'd be a cool crossover. Like, well, I'm thinking Halloween, like Michael Myers, and then Power Rangers having to stop Michael Myers. That'd be
Power Rangers, yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to see that.
Somebody should make that. Somebody out there, work on it.
I guarantee you, there's a fan film. They're in the mix right now trying to get that done. That'd be a great one.
That would be amazing. Oh, but yeah, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, that's all I can say, really. It's been awesome. And everybody tune in. We'll be back next week for whatever we do. We're going to talk. I think we're going to be talking about Kevin Conroy, actually. We took a little bit of break from the show, so much has happened in the last several weeks. I'm like, we lost so many people. I'm just like, geez, we got so much to talk about. But
that's a whole nother thing.
It really is.
Yeah, a whole other thing. But yeah, thanks, and we'll keep in touch, and hopefully we can get you back on soon.
All right, cool.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah,
you too.
Sounds good. Everybody have a good night, and we'll catch you.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
See ya.
Adios.